Okay.
Hello.
Populating.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Phyllis is a speech pathologist. And
Oh, let her talk.
there's John Sadowski in person.
Wow, exciting.
We're just waiting for a couple more and we'll get started. It's 12:01. I'll give it, we've got Jim Sandler, Bill Hughes, Bill Peters, and Teresa. Lee, is Teresa coming? I sent her an email on her Gmail. You're muted.
Yeah, I know. I had to mute it out because you said there was background noise. No, she's grandkids.
Sorry.
The grandkids got lunch on her, so watch.
Yeah, we're close. Okay, so all right, here's Teresa. Great. We're just missing Bill Hughes, I think. Bill Peters on. So
No, I'm on. Can you hear me?
you are? Where are you?
What'd you say?
Oh, Bill Peters is here. No, there's another Bill. There's Bill Hughes. Sorry.
Hughes.
One more. So we're going to get started. Bill hopefully will hop on. So if everybody could mute themselves just because the background noise, I've got 5 dogs who may go off at any moment, but hopefully they won't when the mowers are going next door. So I'm just going to have us do a rapid fire introduction to start. And then I've got a formal presentation. We're going to go through a few slides. I actually have a speech I give called How to Meet 1,000 People at Lunch. Maximize your network for success. So that's really what we're going to go off today. I do that around the country, and it's a very, very popular presentation. And people refer to me as the master connector. The other day, somebody said, if networking was a sport, I'd be an MVP.
I love that.
Boy, talk for expert, I guess.
I love that.
So that's great. So let's start off with Alicia Gelber. If you want to just give us a quick, high-level view of who you are, 30 seconds.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I am currently working at HSBC, but soon to be looking for a new role. I've been in wealth management professionally for the last couple of decades. I am a lawyer by training, practiced for about 9 years, and then have held various positions in various organizations. As a wealth advisor, helping high net worth clients with their strategic and tactical, tax planning, family planning, business succession planning, and philanthropy. But more importantly, I'm a New Yorker, and I don't know if it's more important, but I consider myself a longstanding member of the community. Raised 2 kids on the Upper West Side, recently moved to Washington Heights, and have 2 kids in public schools in New York City. One is at LaGuardia High School, and the other one is at a school in Union Square, a new school, the Clinton School. Love my city, and I'm, very worried about what's going on and what's going to happen in the future, just like everybody else. And I'm happy to be here and to meet everybody today.
Terrific. Thanks, Alyssa. Alan Booth from Westport, Connecticut. You've got your mute on, darling. It's still on. You have to unmute. There you go.
That was a tough one. I very simply, I help people find their new boss, next boss. And I mean really meet and sit down or Zoom their next boss. It's a different variation of networking because it cuts through a lot of multiple conversations, and you go right to, I help people get right to the person you want to work for. I help people with career changes, people who are in transition, or people just want to get ahead and they don't have the technique to link with that CEO of a company that they want to work for. And it does start at the top. That's it.
Terrific. Thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. Carol Vinci from Poughkeepsie area.
Welcome, everyone. Yeah, I'm a I was a long-time Manhattanite. I lived in the city for 30 years, so I share your concerns, Alicia. My company is Productivity Tools and Insights, and I work with business owners to reduce the stress of hiring and managing their staff. In this environment, I am working on an online training class to help managers manage remote employees, which, depending on which news story you listen to, we may be at this for 3 months or 3 years. And now that you don't have the ability to walk down the hall and see who's concentrating and who's being distracted, I'm suggesting that you use one of my assessment tools to determine who you can leave alone, because they will work their tail off without you bothering them, and the ones who need daily check-ins to make sure that they're staying on track and not being distracted by all of the chaos that may be going on in their homes.
Terrific. Remind me, and I will connect you with one of our Circle of Influence members has the core matters. And so he puts the right people in the right place. So you'd be a natural follow-up with that. Capital One announced they're keeping Wall Street office closed for the foreseeable future, and Goldman as well, which is shocking. You know, so, all right, thanks, Carol. Okay, let's go on to Phyllis Amon in Norwalk, Connecticut. Phyllis.
I'm actually in Coscob. We met in Norwalk, but I'm actually in Coscob. And who was it that's in Westport? Hi there, fellow Connecticut person.
Okay, 30 seconds, darling.
Right.
Let's go.
I'm a speech pathologist by profession, and I also was certified at various levels for dementia training. I've worked in 45 skilled nursing facilities, or more actually. And I stepped out of that space to provide, I would say, family solutions for care. So I work with families on their care needs for their loved ones, helping to find those care needs, and also providing them the valuable inside information that they need to make those choices, because many times people don't understand how facilities really function on the inside. I also do family care mediation, because very often there are families who are at odds with the decisions they should make for their loved ones. In addition to that, go ahead.
I was going to say, and she has a radio show.
Yes, and I wasn't even going to say that. I do have a radio show on Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's a weekly show called Voices for Elder Care Advocacy. I have a co-host in California. It's been on since September 9th. Of 2019. We are going to be moving to a podcast platform at the end of June. And I actually have something very exciting in the works at the federal level. So that's going to be, that draws on my expertise. In addition, actually, I've been doing some webinars on resilience for companies around the country. I've actually trademarked a word, empathy, which is about self-care and self-kindness and self-preservation. So I have been doing those webinars for both the public and the private sector. And I have done training in the public and private sector on a variety of topics.
Terrific. Thanks, Phyllis. John Sadowski up in Suffern, New York.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is John Sadowski. I run a company called Metro Valley Advertising. We're a lead generation advertising agency. And what that means is we put out communications on behalf of our clients that are looking for the prospect to take an action. The action could be to fill out a form. It could be to make a phone call. It could be obviously to go online and purchase something. We generally work with clients for 3 reasons. 1, they're not getting the leads and sales that they think they should. 2, they're facing increased competition, want to maintain their market share. Or 3, they've got a new product or service and they want to leverage that, and we help them capitalize on it. Generally, we work in 3 verticals. The first is healthcare, working with medical practices. The second is legal, generally working with personal injury and matrimonial attorneys. And the third is high-end retail, which tends to be furniture, flooring, carpet, and obviously auto.
Great. Wonderful. Thanks, John. Jim Sandler in New Jersey.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jim Sandler, KM Consulting. our businesses become a vehicle to get what you want in life and to foster what you want to do in life. And in order to do that, business owners need to establish a vision and a mission in order to survive. They have to have a unique value proposition. In order to do that, they need to put together a strategic plan. So what we do is we put together strategic plans for owners of small to mid-sized companies, and then we coach them in order to make sure that they reach the goals that they set in their strategic plan. So my name is Jim Sandler, KM Consulting. We make businesses better, and right now we're keeping businesses in business.
We can always tell who's in a master networks or a BNI. All right, Bill Peters, I actually don't know you, so welcome.
Thank you, Kathy, and hello, folks. Somehow, Kathy, I got on your email chain, and so I've been getting regular emails from you, which at times I find to be quite entertaining. So I thought, what the hell, I've got some time today. So what I do is I'm managing director of a company called the CEO Forum Group. We are a nationally syndicated radio program, 600,000 weekly listeners. We also produce a quarterly magazine called the CEO Forum, and we're always looking for CEOs to interview or people who are interested in selling their products to CEOs. So that's what we do.
Terrific, welcome. And where are you located?
I'm very far away in Darien, Connecticut.
There we go. We have a couple of Connecticut little tranche there. All right, Lara Kizalewski, if I didn't mangle your last name, with Optimum DC in New York City.
Hi there. Yes, I'm on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, sort of like right in the middle of all the craziness, and really appreciating the community spirit that happens at 7 p.m. every day when we all go outside and cheer. So those of you all in Connecticut and Upper Westchester, et cetera, the one positive that we have from sticking it out in the city is that amazing feeling of being part of that celebration every day at 7. Anyway, I own Optimum Design and Consulting, which is a graphic design firm I've been running for 28 years. We do logos, print work, and digital assets. So that's helping people figure out how to position their business so it's different than everybody else's and targeted to their client, their target customer, and then figuring out how to express that across all their different marketing collateral so that impression we can help you give, a first impression with your logo, can be supplemented by the business card you hand somebody, the website you see, the PowerPoint on the screen behind you, the brochure you might mail them, or the email newsletter that you send them, making sure that your brand is consistent across everything.
Terrific. So Lara is one of our sponsors of our networking extravaganzas, which are now morphing to Zoom until September when we hope to go live. We should have a live event in June and hopefully July. And then for those of you who don't know it, I actually rescue animals. So Lee and Teresa are part of my extended rescue circle. So Lee, tell us, Lee is actually in Texas and Teresa's in North Dakota, yeah, right? Or Montana, one or the other, up there. I'm not geography very good. Lee, tell us about you.
He's obviously not doing very well.
Yeah.
His technology, he may be doing well, but his technology is on the fritz.
All right, Lee, are you there? She still has mute on. All right, Lee
Yes,
is
I
in.
am.
Oh, there she is. Good. Go ahead.
My name is Lee, and my educational background is in neuroscience, but I've always made my living in either computers or in real estate until recently when I set up a 501c3 rescue. We were rescuing dogs all around the country and decided that was just too exhausting. So we're now regrouping and trying to focus only on Texas.
And Lee is in Hill Country in Texas between San Antonio and Austin. And Teresa, want to unmute yourself and tell us about yourself?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Teresa Maston. I'm an aerospace engineer by trade. I currently am, I've been paired up with Lee now for 8 years doing animal rescue. Yes, I am in North Dakota. I'm originally from San Diego, eventually making my way down to Texas, hopefully soon. But I'm here to learn, make contacts, and see where this takes me.
Terrific, wonderful. I don't know why I just switched. So usually when somebody's out. So, all right, I'm going to go through a couple of slides now. Just to give you some background on networking. So this is the presentation I give. Keep it in mind if there's, I'll always do a pro bono presentation to Rotary groups, Chamber of Commerce, sometimes some women's groups. So let me have, let's see if I can go back to a show of hands. How many of you know 100 people? Everybody should be putting their hand up, right? Keep it up if you know 500. 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. Okay, pretty good. All right, how many people do you think the average person knows? Take wild guesses, don't all shoot at once.
50.
50, anybody else?
I would say 100.
100.
I would
100.
say 400.
Actually 100.
Oh.
So think about this. If you go to a charity luncheon, a charity dinner, some sort of event, you're sitting at a round table with 10. How many people are you actually sitting with?
Oh,
10
1,000.
times 100.
1,000.
Thus the 1,000 people at lunch, okay? So the secret on networking is having that view of the world, okay? So my mind just works this way. I don't know why, but it just does. So whenever somebody starts talking, I start going, oh, you know who you should meet, you know who you should meet. So the more you can train yourself to do this, mine's a gift, you know, that was given to me, but it is something you can train yourself to do. But the first thing I want to do is just share a couple quick stories. I won't go through all of these, but these are the magic of networking, okay? So I'll stick with the rescue to start with. So the second example is Looking Glass Animal Rescue. So what I do is I stay in between rescues. I use my connecting ability, my organizational talents, and my memory to help rescues place their dogs and facilitate rescue for other people, because I just got a message this morning, somebody in Vermont is looking for a pit bull. I can get you a pit bull in a minute, and they have filled out 40 applications. The rescues don't get back to them, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, Looking Glass wanted me to help them with an event in Ridgefield, Connecticut. And I cook. So I can make 10 Irish soda breads. We sell them for $12 each, and I make $120. I can make $1,000 for a rescue in a minute. Just get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and bake, and then boom. So I helped them, but they wanted dogs because this woman, Diljot, reached out to me through the Ridgefield Facebook page, and she wanted her son to get experience with the dogs. Little Indian boy. And so I had to have labs. So I had to borrow a lab from another rescue group, and they hate each other, of course. There's so much drama in rescue. And so this little boy came, and he's holding this dog very awkwardly. He brought a friend, and I had the two of them. Well, after that, he ended up going to the dog park and playing his saxophone with a hat out, and raised like $14 at one dog park. And then he went on his own. I didn't realize this, but he was on the spectrum. And then I wrote that up for an article in the local paper. It then translated into fundraising for the rescue. He started doing it on a regular basis. And then his mom ended up helping him write a book, which he published and donated the receipts to the rescue. And then separately, I had another woman reach out to me. Her kid goes to private school, and she doesn't want her children to grow up realizing that thinking everybody is entitled. So she wanted them to see the other side. So she came, she hung out for a while. She ended up writing a $250 check to the rescue. Well, ends up, she's the associate general counsel of a private equity firm. We become very good friends. She's become a client, and she's just wonderful. So that relationship, just from being there for a rescue and then translating it, but the key is in following up. So when Diljot reached out to me, I didn't know if that was a man or a woman. She wanted to drop her kids off. I'm like, I am not a babysitting. I cannot watch 11-year-olds. And so I made her come, and then they hung out at the booth. We talked, and then I followed up. You know, we got her email, made sure she got on my list, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just one little story of where networking can take on a whole new dimension. I got money for the rescue. I got the labs adopted. Actually, they had 9 puppies at the other rescue. We got a ton of publicity for them. We got fundraising. We got visibility. She was delighted that her autistic son ended up in the paper. And then this other friend of mine, we actually helped another woman with a rescue. So that's the magic that can happen. Social media has facilitated that. So that's how you want to think about using social media, because it's larger than your little immediate self. It gets out to a much bigger circle, and you really just have to think about how you're going to use it. So I primarily use Facebook for rescue and cooking, and I share recipes. I'm in actually 200 groups. So I turn off all the notifications, but I'm in New Canaan Moms, I'm in Darien Moms, I'm in Armonk Moms. So I'm in all these moms groups, and that's part of my magic, is I'm able to then post a dog there because I kind of know the psychographic of each circle and who will take a lab, who will take a little foo-foo dog. So that's just an example that combined both my love of rescue and my animals, where I was able to help others, but also I ended up benefiting by getting a client. So that's where you have to always think big picture. So when you go out to network, you have to think about, how am I going to get you to unlock the 1, 2, 3 people that I should meet in your circle? And most people are not good connectors. Most people don't think this way. So you have to really help them. And so the more you can narrow your message, and the more you can think about your goal and really go in with an intention when you go out to network, the better your results will be. So you have to think about what your goal is. Are you looking to make new friends? If you move to a new community, that's what you'd be looking to do. If you're getting divorced and you're suddenly single, you may need a new group of friends. Are you looking for new business? Are you looking to add more professionals to your range of experts? I refer people into my family businesses. When I go in to do succession planning for them, I like to come in early. And so very often it's about increasing revenue. It's about increasing their visibility, documenting the procedure, putting governance in. I don't do any boots on the ground. I come up with the ideas, I run the numbers, but then I need people to actually execute. So I'm always looking to add to my range of professionals, because it's very hard I needed a food turnaround guy last week, and I didn't have a turnaround expert in food and beverage in my network. And then, so reaching out at that time becomes time consuming and difficult, because a lot of people may not think of the right person. Another thing you might want to do is, if you're in a charity or on a board, you might want to raise funds. Maybe you want to sit on a board. Maybe you have personal philanthropic goals. So those are often the goals. You might be looking for a new job as well. So those are your goals. So when you think about what you're going out to accomplish, you want to think about the goal and have one primary goal for the evening. In terms of networks, there's informal networks. So a lot of people, the average person having 100 people in their network, it's because most people's lives are very small. They have mom and dad, a couple of kids, they live in a small community. Dad might hop on the train or drive to work. Mom might be the primary caregiver if she works. A lot of times she's a realtor, or she may work locally, or she may have her own business out of the home. But if you have young kids in the burbs, somebody's got to be there to meet the bus. So you do have this sort of stereotypical split where the mom tends to be a stay-at-home or work from home. So a lot of their circles are around their kids. And so it's soccer, lacrosse, hockey, whatever. It could be church, synagogue, right? So those are 2 very common ways that most people make a network. Now that's where it usually ends for most people. Once you're in business, you then go on to the next level oftentimes. So there's structured groups like a BNI that's specifically set up for networking, with a requirement to give each other business, shout outs for business transacted. So they're extremely structured. And part of the reason they're structured is because networking is about building relationships. And so you're not going to love everybody you meet. You're not going to love everybody in the group, but at least you get to know them. And so that becomes part of how they build community. I always ask people when I'm giving this speech if they married their spouse on the first date. Unlikely. So you built a relationship, and that's really what networking is about. So then you have chambers of commerce, which again are really centered around networking. Rotaries become accidental networks because they are meeting again weekly. part of the reason I like to speak to Rotaries is my target client does not go out to network. So my septic owner, HVAC owner, oil and gas, the local propane company, the owners of those are who I want to meet. And the only place they will usually go is to a local fundraising thing in town, family events. So to reach them on a personal level, Rotary actually is often in the small towns, Rotary is where the bigger guys are part of. So believe it or not, even a small Rotary, I spoke to 8 people in a Rotary up in the middle of Connecticut, and I walked away with a grocery store with 52 million in revenue, 4th generation. So it's amazing what you can walk away with in some of these smaller groups. Then you have networking functions. I run these events, so we have these fabulous events that are really Kathy's cocktail parties, and a number of you have been to them, so they're really a lot of fun. I create a very warm ambiance. Not every networking function is going to have that ambiance. So what I typically recommend is you set up your goal, you figure out where you're going to go, and then you then deliberately try a few things and see if they resonate. See if the people that are attending are the type of people you want to meet. See if you enjoyed the conversation, see if you enjoyed the structure, and then you narrow it down to one that you start to go to repeatedly. I tend to pop into BNIs. I won't ever join a BNI. I can't do something every single week. And especially I live up in the burbs, so I'm not getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to feed all my animals to catch a 5 o'clock train to make it to a 7 o'clock meeting. So that's just not happening. So and a lot of the BNIs in the smaller chambers, the smaller towns are going to be filled with lawn care guys, turf guys, oil and gas salespeople, the ADP folks. None of those are going to have the attention of my decision maker. So those are not effective for me. So I will go to a BNI. I will cherry pick, is what I call it, the 2 or 3 people that I want to follow up with, and then I take the lead on that and I follow up. Another place is charity events. If you're philanthropically inclined, that is one place that Alicia would meet her high net worth clients very often. That's where people go that you can meet. Again, you're aligned about a personal passion. So when I lived in the city, I would go to a lot more events than I do now. Up in the burbs, you've got 2 seasons, the spring season with all the events, and then the fall, and then summer sort of a lull. And then you have conferences. Conferences are hit or miss. They're better for building your professional network than a network to accomplish some of the other goals. And so just a couple examples. So we offer succession, business, divorce, estate, and personal planning. So it sounds like a lot. It's all the same process. What's your goal? What do you have now? How are you going to get there? How much you're making? How much can you save? What do you need to have amassed? So I'm always looking for people that are in need, and people are not ready to do this a lot of times because especially the succession planning process in a family business often involves a lot of things that we don't want to talk about, whether or not both children work in the business. The father's not getting along with the son's incoming heir. The father's not allowing the son to run a division on his own, and the wife thinks he should. So you get into a lot of potential for family arguments, and that's where I bring the life coach in. But they can kick the can down the road a lot of times. So there'll be an event usually where people will be more open. So what I've done that has worked for me, I was the United Way's gala chair. I've hosted breakfast clubs for a number of years. We just actually made the decision to stop them because they were too much effort for the return. But I started with 13 people in Katona, and we got it to 270 people for breakfast. And we had a breakfast every month in somebody's store. So I actually got to meet all these local business owners because I'm bringing in 25 to 40 people who might never have been in their store to meet them. And you may never have known that the lighting store carried furniture. And you never met the owners, because a lot of times the owners in these little stores are not in the store in the middle
I'm
of the
on
day.
mute. Do you need me to help you?
And you're not on mute, Alyssa. And another place is chambers. In general, chambers are going to have groups that are too small for me in terms of business owners. Somebody asking questions, sorry. Alice, what do you do now with the stay-at-home culture? I will talk about that in a second. So
me try to-
chambers in general are going to be full of businesses that are too small for me. If you have a very large presence in town, if you're a rug cleaner, if you're a local caterer, then that's where you're going to pick up more traction. So again, it depends on the nature of your business. And then speaking is what actually drives my business. When I get up and speak, I end up getting high resonance. I talk about this. So I'm not selling myself, I'm not selling my services, but it's clear what I do for a living. If they like my style, I walk away from these Rotaries with on average 2 leads per event. Now I'm looking specifically for family-owned businesses. When I speak to chambers, it's hit or miss. We do get paid to speak. I get paid to speak for conferences for associations of family businesses. I've also been in the family office network for a long time, so I tend to moderate those panels. So that's sort of everything. I'm going where my target market is going. I'm going where my business owner or high net worth client is going. So that's what you want to think about. What is your goal and where will the people you want to meet go? Carol Vinci has the same target market. She wants to meet business owners. And I can tell you that business owners are not on LinkedIn. They're not. I have done search after search after search because I get all these lead gen people that come to me and go, oh, there's 38,000 business owners within 5 miles of you. Well, I'm a business owner, Phil's a business owner, Jim's a business owner, Carol's a business owner, but we're all service businesses. And so we are not, for the most part, the core target market for any of us. So that's something else to keep in mind. So what you want to think about is who's everybody's favorite person? Anybody? Me, myself, and I, right? So the more that you can engage somebody about them and what they're doing and why they're here, the more it's going to work. So you want to think about what does it take to engage someone. So when we're physically meeting, little tiny things like, I'm going to talk about this in the next half, but making sure that you match the group. So the example I use, if you're going to a banker-oriented event, most bankers dress very conservatively. So if you come in with flamboyant jewelry and flamboyant dress, you're not going to fit in, and people like what they know. So it's important to somewhat be a chameleon. I'm not saying change your nature entirely, but I'm saying think about where you're going and how you're going to fit in. And so you want to engage someone else. What do you want to do to make it happen? So ask the other person questions. And so one of the little techniques is you put your name tag is actually goes on your right-hand side, because when I go to shake hands, we shake hands with our right hand, your eye will travel up and see your name tag. You repeat the person's name. I use funny little examples to do memory tricks. So I happen to have a very good memory, but I honed it because I waited tables for a long time. And I would take the entire table's order without writing things down. And I did that with a color association in my head, so very difficult to explain. But what I tell people is if you think about a bob and you meet a bob, and you think about a bob bobbing for apples. You think of this man with his hands tied behind his back, and he's bobbing and trying to get apples. You will never forget his name. So you can do that with some fairly common names. And, you can do, Jack and Jill. You can think of the wishing well. There's ways that you can do this so that you can just common names automatically associate, you say it a second time. So just to briefly address Alan's question is, this works now, even in our lockdown. The difference is that you have to make a concerted effort to do it. So either come to events like this. Lara invited me a couple weeks ago to one of her networking groups that had 68 people. It can be a little overwhelming, 68 people going around the room. We were in breakout groups with just 7 of us. But if somebody resonated, you can write down their name and follow up with the list. I went to a BNI in the city, again from here. It was 6:50 in the morning. It was a little overkill because I tend to just be working a lot of hours right now. And that was overkill for me. There were 68 people with 30-second introductions. I personally found it overwhelming, and I can take in a lot of data. So that one didn't work for me. Lara's group was better because I actually knew a bunch of people in it. I knew of the group, and I already, and we broke out into smaller groups. So a couple of quick tips before we're going to break out and try this. You want to think about the W's when you sit down with somebody. So what do you do, Alan? Why do you do what you do, and why are you different than your competitor? And do not tell me service. Everybody says my service is great. Have you ever met any business owner who hasn't said their service is great? Right? So we all sound great on the thing. So what is it? Get to the essence of your message. What is it that you do that helps your clients excel? And then who else besides your target client would you like to meet? Oh, what is it, BNI? BNI stands for, I think it stands for, oh, Jim answered, Business Networking International. So it's a structured group. And then who do you want to meet? Who is your target client? And get them to paint the picture. You know, we say family-owned businesses. Okay, great. People kind of go brain dead on this stuff. People just really don't make connections. So the more you can paint the picture of your target client, the better. So I like to meet people that live in Darien, Connecticut, New Canaan, Connecticut, whose job function is whatever. You can paint a picture. I use the septic company, the oil and gas, because they're usually family-owned businesses. They're usually multiple generations. And in blue-collar businesses, you've got the patriarch at the top, usually a man. He's run the business, might be second or third generation. And then there's very few people in the middle. Might be the wife doing the books, honestly. Even with these big businesses, they make very good living. But then you drop down to the guys that are in the field. And the guys in the field will rarely have the economic, financial, or entrepreneurial wherewithal to take the company over. And so you have a gap. So that allows a lot of work for me to bring in my team of planners and coaches, et cetera, et cetera. So, so then the other thing to ask people is, who else besides your target client? So maybe I can't deliver your target client right this second, but I definitely know people who know your target market. And that's easy for me to do. So you want to make it as easy as possible to create the connection. I literally take notes on this, and I title it, I date it, and on the side of the margin, I write down people that I will connect them with. And then one of the keys is to make a good connection. So too many people just don't make enough of a connection. They make very sloppy introductions. I can't tell you, this one guy is very well-intentioned. He's 75, he's a little technology challenged at this point, and he makes the same introduction every single time. He's obviously copied something from my LinkedIn and he pastes it, and his intro is always, I have a fabulous connection. And then he doesn't tell me anything about the other person or why I should meet with them. And I think he does this in the same style over and over and over again. So you'll find that his connections do not resonate. They don't even bother responding. I will often have to chase them. So that's one of the things you want to do, is really make a warm email. It takes a few minutes, it takes 5 minutes, but I write a warm intro. And anybody who I've connected in this circle, you know how I do it. So I'll go, Alan, I really think that you should meet Phyllis. Phyllis lives not too far from you. She's a speech pathologist. She knows a lot of the people, ... And then Phyllis, you may want to connect with Alan because he's a leadership coach. He's in Westport, the two of you can meet in between, right? And so I actually take the time to write something like that and then send it out. I don't want to be BCC'd forever, so I do say move me to BCC, because some people will continue the connection. Oh, we didn't reschedule. So I just want to make sure they connected, and then I'm gone. That's my gift. I call them psychic chits in the universe. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to practice. I'm going to try this. The first time I've done this, we're going to do the random breakout rooms. Larry, you may have to help me with this. Let me just go back to the big screen here. Oh, stop sharing.
I don't know what happened to mine, but I lost like everything here.
What do you mean you lost your everything? We still see you.
I lost the screen. I don't know what happened.
You're still on.
You might need to click on the window to bring it forward. Maybe you clicked on something else and it's obscuring it.
I didn't click on anything. I'll refresh the page and see what happens. If I lose it, I'll have to sign back in.
Kathy stopped sharing her screen, so that automatically switches the view. And sometimes if your connection is slow, it takes a minute to come back up with a different screen.
Yeah, I don't know.
We still see you and you're there.
Yeah,
so
I can hear you, so yeah.
Okay, whatever.
If you can find like your list of applications that are open and click on the Zoom icon, it should bring that window to the front.
I did that. I'll try it again. Oh, there we are. Okay, finally.
Yay,
Maybe I
she's
have
back.
lost in, something might have, there might have been a glitch for a minute. Happens.
Okay, so we have 11 of us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to randomly match us up right now. There's a breakout room function. So I'm going to just evenly divide us. And you're going to end up with 2 people in a room. So you're going to be in a little breakout room. Teresa just left, so now I guess I'm up. So we're going to be one-on-one. And what I want you to do is I want you to practice the W's. Who are you? Why do you do what you do? And how are you different from others? Who do you want to meet? Who's your target client? And who else is good for you to meet? And then I want you also to share one fun fact about yourself. Okay, we got that? Yes? Okay, any questions before we go? We're gonna come back after 10 minutes. I'm gonna time it and we're gonna get back and I have a few more slides with a few more things we're gonna do feedback. All right, so here we go. We are going to do 5 rooms. And here we go. And all participants have been invited. Okay, so, oh, here we go. Great. Bill and Phyllis, Alan and Jim. Alan, you should be in a room. Lee, you need to join the room. Okay. Okay. You there? You've got terrible reception. All we hear is scratching.
Yeah. So it's not working.
I can only hear every other word.
So, so, gosh. So I can't get it not to.
Okay. I put you, you weren't joining, so I moved her and then I added you to that room, but you didn't go. I'm just going to send a message to everybody. I'm gonna.
Did we come back too early?
No, that's okay. I'm ending it now. Yeah,
Okay.
this is the first time we've done this and it's a little bit a lot moving parts,
Oh,
you know.
yes, I'm only learning to use some of the other functions of Zoom myself. It's a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, we did a CARES Act 2 weeks ago with 2 lawyers speaking. One of the things I'm trying to figure out is how do I keep the speakers when I have a panel? I want to keep the speakers at the top.
Yeah.
And if you have 30
Yes.
people on, they slide down. You know,
There is a way.
I can pin, but that's only one person.
I know that's why I was struggling, because I know that you can pin one person, but pinning
So
two.
Lara was on a call where she saw everybody, but she saw them doing a 0 in front of the name.
Okay.
Okay.
Great,
That works.
wonderful. Okay, I'm just going to go around the room really fast. Tell me what you thought. Alyssa.
Really helpful way to figure out who people are and what they want. Just ask them, about what they do and why, and you're off to the races,
Terrific. Carol.
Yes, we had no trouble filling the time, learning more about the ins and outs of each other's business. Yep.
Terrific. Jim.
Well, one of the things that came out of it, I don't know where Alan is, but
I'm up on top.
Oh, there you are. We learned that we do similar things. We may come at it a little bit differently, but we do similar things.
Terrific. Phyllis.
Yes, and Jim and Alan, when you gave your introductions, I realized I need to connect with both of you.
Terrific. We love it. Phyllis.
Well, it turns out that Bill and I have both been on WGCH. He's still on WGCH. I'm not on it any longer. I was a guest on a show. We had lots to talk about and share. And for me, it was, I think I may have somebody for his show. So I'm glad that we were able to connect and talk about, our businesses. We had no time filling the time. No problem filling the time.
No, none of you would. Bill, what do you think?
Well, Phyllis has done some extraordinary things, and I'm very, very impressed. You know, she spent time during this pandemic working in a nursing home facility, which is, I give applause to anybody in the medical community that has to go through what they've gone through. So, you know, I think she's got some good things going. The radio thing that she was working on is very interesting because she might be able to, as she said, give us some leads for CEOs. And should I throw a fun fact out now, or
Sure, go ahead.
We'll laugh.
Well, Phyllis loves to do ballroom dancing, and terrific. So
there you go. John Sadowski, let's hear from you. What do you think?
You know, I don't really want to talk to Lara again.
That was the best. I loved it.
Sorry.
No, that was great.
Truth be told, Lara and I have met before, so it was not our first
that's
one-on-one.
cheating.
So
That's cheating.
yeah, so we've networked in different organizations before, so it was more catch-up time. So, but I do, you know, I like the format, and I do think it works. So sorry.
Terrific. Alan Booth.
I thought this was a great technique to start a conversation. In fact, most of the people that I've been talking to or seeing on the group, I simultaneously invited people to join me on LinkedIn. I mean, why wait and have a to-do list?
There you go.
I think one of the things that would be helpful in using this Zoom format is to have a contact list associated with it. Whoever is sponsoring it, these are the people who've been invited to participate. Here's their email address or whatever contact information people want to give.
Well, I would invite everybody can put it in the chat right now if you'd like. So go ahead and put your contact info in the chat to share. And Lara, any thoughts?
Well, as John said, we happen to be matched up and know each other. So it was a good opportunity to touch base on some projects that I'm trying to collaborate on with John. So it all worked out.
Terrific. All right, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. This is taking longer than I thought with the interaction. I usually give this speech in about 20 minutes, so I actually thought it was going to be okay. But so I'm just going to do a very, very high level couple of things. Rules of the road, okay? This is really important. Do not fraternize. And what that means is if you're a lawyer and you go to the Bar Association, for the most part, you're not meeting a client. So your professional organization is great for CE, technology, training. You know, you want to be visible where your client is. You've only got 30 seconds. This is before you open your mouth. Our brain processes 50 billion bits of data a second. We're only cognizant of 20,000, but we make up our mind based on body language, carriage, what you're wearing. So put some thought into that before you go anywhere. Networking is not running around the room collecting as many cards. It's not asking a stranger to help you. It's not reaching out on LinkedIn. I had a woman reach out to me the other day and ask me to help her husband. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. She said, I noticed you know a lot of CFOs. I want introductions. 80-20 rule. I actually wrote a blog about this week. So if anybody's not on my blog list and wants to be on it, I'm happy to send it out. I write effective strategies for success. There's an 80-20 rule. 80% of your business comes from 20% of your clients. 80% of your productivity comes from 20% of your activities. In networking, there's a 20-60-20 rule. 20% of the people you meet will never, ever connect you. You can pay them, and they won't do it. They're just not capable. 60% of people are mezza. They might not. 20% are connectors like me. So you want to find the 20%, and that's who you want to cultivate. You want to be interested and interesting when you meet people. The fortune is in the follow-up. I cannot tell you how many people fail to follow up. I have people walk up to me at events, say, oh my God, we have to get together. And I sometimes will wait a few days just to see. They don't follow up. 90% of people fail to follow up. So if you follow up, you are on top of it. Personally, I find blocking time to make sure that you have some connecting time every single week. If you're a morning person, perhaps it's middle morning. If not, It might be the afternoon, whatever works for you. I'm externally motivated, so it makes me very happy and energizes me to connect with the outside world. So I can work here and home every day. I do. And I'm not isolated because I reach out and connect with everybody. I'll go through rules of engagement very quickly. Meet in an office, not over lunch, not over dinner, not over breakfast. It's noisy, it's interrupted. You want to have 1 hour concentrated time, and I do this on Zoom as well. Engage the other person, make sure that you get a chance to understand who they are, and then go first. Make a connection. You also have to keep the connection going. So find out what mutual interests, mutual friends, invite them to attend events, invite them to host events with you, invite them to go to networking events or come with you. And the final thing is the CRM is invaluable. If you don't have a contact management system, that should be your mission. You put people in and you categorize them. I can pull up a list of lawyers like this. I can pull up a list of women business owners in Westchester. So if you cross-code people, it's very easy. One way to stay in touch is to take 15 minutes out of your day, handwrite 3 personal notes, and physically mail them. You will touch 720 people a year. So again, if you have your list cross-coded, it's really easy to keep that going. We were going to do the breakout, we're obviously not. So just a real quick recap, know what your goal is. Go places to connect, even on Zoom. There's a million different ways to go to BNI's online, Rotary online, Chambers online. Be interested in what people are saying and be interesting. Don't have nothing to say. Have some key things if you're shy. Fortune is in the follow-up. You have to meet and connect and find a way to build a relationship. And I find that giving first is it. So normally we do a raffle for this. I will send you my 10 tips. So I have this formalized because I cover a lot of information. If you're not on my effective strategies for success list and you'd like to be, just shoot me an email. And then I'm always looking for speaking engagements. So if anybody wants to have me online, we're moving on to paid. I usually do associations, conferences, sales trainings, etc. So I want to try to keep this tight. We're at 1:03. So thank you very much for your time and attention. Feel free to email me, kboyle@chapin-hill. Everybody should have it because that's on the invitation. Kathy Boyle on the Go is my speaking imprint. So I have a separate website for that. And I'm working on an ebook on this. So I should be launching that in the next couple of weeks. So thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Go out and practice the tips that I shared. And in the chat, I see the chat is alive and well. So I think everybody's been putting their contact info in there. Lara had to leave. And yep, okay, great, wonderful. So you can actually print that chat. There's 3 little dots in there. And if you right click it, you can print the chat and then save it. Well, it'll save to your hard drive.
Oh,
all right,
shoot.
Thanks guys. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Kathy.
Yes.
Can you send out that PowerPoint? Would you mind?
I would.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you the 10 tips.
What happened to Bill? Is he in this, or we're at a little breakout thing?
We are ending the meeting, dear. So you can print the little chat on the right-hand side, and everybody's emails are on there.
I
If
just
you're
wondered,
missing any,
I just wondered, is Bill's the guy that I get an email from once a week about the CEO forum?
I would think he was, since he runs that.
There's so many CEO forums. Okay.
All right, terrific, guys. Thanks. Have a great day.